Let's break down 5 players that are set to go absolutely nuclear here in week 5 of the fantasy season. These are the players with way too much upside, way too good of matchups for you guys to leave on your bench, and the players that are going to help you guys absolutely dominate your league mates here in week 5 of the fantasy season. Let's kick the video off with Garrett Wilson of the New York Jets, coming off of a week 4 performance where he had 20.2 fantasy points, 8 targets, 6 catches, 82 receiving yards, and a touchdown. Outside of that disastrous offensive day in week 2 against Buffalo for the Jets, Garrett Wilson has had 20.2 or more fantasy points in every single game so far on the season, 8 or more targets in every game so far on the season, and actually he had 8 targets in week 2 as well, and a touchdown in 3 out of the first 4 matchups here to start the season. He is coming in as the wide receiver 5 overall in PPR, the wide receiver 7 in half PPR, and here in week 5, the Jets are back at home for the first time in 2 weeks, and they get a smash matchup for the wide receiver position against the Dallas Cowboys, who are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. We've seen it all season long so far. This Dallas Cowboys defense does not stand a chance against the wide receiver position. We just saw them give up 3 receiving touchdowns to Romeo Doubs. This is an absolute smash spot for Garrett Wilson. No matter what you do, he has to be in your starting lineup. And I know Justin Fields hasn't particularly been super encouraging in terms of his ability to throw the football thus far on the season, but the Cowboys also rank bottom 5 against the quarterback position. This is a great spot for Justin Fields. He will get the ball to Garrett Wilson. He is the only viable receiving option on this team at the end of the day, outside of some dump offs to Breece Hall, and maybe we're starting to get some involvement out of rookie tight end Mason Taylor, but we know at the wide receiver position, it is Garrett Wilson's offense to run through. He is set to go absolutely nuclear here in week 5 of the season. You may have guessed it, but I am headed straight to Underdog to take the over on Garrett Wilson to score a touchdown here in week 5 of the season. You couldn't ask for a better matchup. He's done it in 3 of the first 4 games of the season. We already went over all the reasons why. This is a great line to go ahead and take advantage of on Underdog. And don't forget, all new users who sign up on Underdog using promo code THECATCH are getting a free NFL Pick Em to use towards week 5 NFL action. Take that free Pick Em, take the over on Wilson to score a touchdown here in week 5, and if both of those lines hit, you will automatically double your cash entry. And on top of that, Underdog has a new exclusive offer to all users who sign up using promo code THECATCH. Once you play through $5 on Underdog, you're also going to receive $50 in bonus cash to use towards week 5 NFL action. And on top of that, you'll also receive a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. So make sure you guys sign up using promo code THECATCH. That link is down below if you want to take advantage of all of Underdog's week 5 exclusive NFL offers. Next up, we have Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts, coming off of a week 4 performance against the Rams where he had 15.1 fantasy points, 10 targets, 5 catches, 41 receiving yards, and a touchdown through the first 4 games of the season, outside of week 2, where Michael Pittman was shadowed by one of the probably the best corner in the league, Pat Surtain. He has had a touchdown in every single game and 15.1 or more fantasy points in every single game, coming in as the wide receiver 13 in full PPR and the wide receiver 15 in half PPR. And here in week 5, a smash spot at home against the Las Vegas Raiders, who come in 30th overall against the wide receiver position in terms of fantasy points allowed. Smash spot for Michael Pittman actually kind of mirrors what I think Garrett Wilson's walking into in week 5. I mean, the Colts, for the first time in 2 weeks, back playing at home. Outside of week 2, Michael Pittman has been great this year, just like Garrett Wilson. But nonetheless here, I know the Colts offense hasn't been as exciting as they were maybe the first 2 weeks of the season when Daniel Jones was kind of lighting it up. In the past 2 weeks, he's been perfectly fine, but has come back to earth to some degree. I think here at home against a really bad Raiders defense, the Colts are going to come out swinging, put up some good offensive points, and once again, they've been perfectly fine the last 2 weeks, but I think that overall the upside just due to this Raiders defense is a really good spot for Michael Pittman. Ultimately, it just feels like Michael Pittman has been really undervalued, kind of a sleeper wide receiver who lot of you guys are probably starting if you own him, but just make sure here in week 5, he stays in your starting lineup. No matter what you do, he is a must-start wide receiver. All right, let's move to the running back position, and I want to talk about David Montgomery of the Detroit Lions, coming off of a very porous performance in week 4 against a good Browns run defense with just 1.2 fantasy points, had 9 touches for 12 total rushing yards and 1 target, and that was it. But here in week 5 on the road, David Montgomery, especially in a week where we have a couple good running backs on bye week, is an absolute must-start player, getting the Cincinnati Bengals, who are giving up the second most fantasy points to opposing running backs. This is a smash spot for a running back like David Montgomery. These are the type of matchups where you absolutely want to start David Montgomery because, once again, I mean, look at the product we're getting out of the Bengals offensively and defensively. Go back to Monday Night Football, right? They were not able to do in that game whatsoever was stop anything offensively and play defense, and I don't think that's necessarily going to change in week 5. This is one of those game scripts where the Lions should be able to get up early and often, be able to run down the clock, and they will utilize David Montgomery in this game plan. I absolutely guarantee it. Go back to week 3 against the team that's giving up the most fantasy points to opposing running backs. That's the Baltimore Ravens, just one spot below the Cincinnati Bengals in that ranking. 29.4 fantasy points for Monty, 12 touches for 151 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns and a catch. We could see a similar stat line like that for Monty in week 5, whether you need to flex him, whether he's your RB2, I don't care what it is. David Montgomery is probably my absolute must start running back here in week 5 of the season. All right, moving along, let's take a look at Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming off of a very solid day in week 4 against the Niners on the road. 19.5 fantasy points, 124 yards on the ground, and a rushing touchdown. Not a lot of receiving work, but he got it done. Nonetheless, through the first 4 weeks of the season, Etienne has given you double digits in every single fantasy game and has had 16.9 or more fantasy points in 3 out of the first 4 matchups and a touchdown in 3 of the first 4 matchups as well. Currently coming in as the RB10 in full PPR and the RB7 in half PPR. This is an absolute must-start player on a week-to-week basis. The floor is very safe, but I still think that the ceiling is very good for Etienne as well. I feel like he's being kind of still a little bit undervalued at this point in the season. Like, we got some sprinkles of baseball tootin' for a week or 2, but that's really kind of come back to earth. This is Travis Etienne's backfield, clear-cut and dry, and at the end of the day, this offense is not really like throwing the football super efficiently. They need to be able to establish the run game to get anything going, and they are doing that on a week-to-week basis with Travis Etienne. I think some of you guys out there might look at this matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs this week and get a little bit worried because traditionally this is a pretty good run defense. We know that, but look at the ranking. They are coming in bottom 10 against the running back position so far on the season. This is still a good spot for Travis Etienne, and the Jags are at home. I think that overall he is a player who needs to be viewed as a must-start running back, once again, especially with a few good running backs on bye week here in week 5. This is your RB10 in terms of fantasy points per game. He is almost a lock and loaded running back to guarantee you guys double-digit fantasy points here in week 5 of the season. Don't be worried about this matchup. Travis Etienne could have an absolutely big week in week 5 and definitely help you guys win your week 5 matchups. All right, the last player I want to take a look at is rookie running back Woody Marks of the Houston Texans, coming off of a week 4 performance where he had 27.9 fantasy points, 69 yards on the ground, a rushing touchdown, 4 catches for 50 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Now, this one does hold a little bit of risk. I will go ahead and say that because Nick Chubb still had 15 total touches through the ground in the air last week. He's still getting some sort of volume in this offense at the end of the day, but it really looked like Woody Marks, his takeover is here. If you go back and watch what he was able to do in week 4, he just looked like the clear-cut, better running back. And I'll go ahead and say this, Woody Marks has moved up to 41% rostered after this last waiver period has gone through. But if he's out there and available, I mean, 41% rostered still kind of surprises me. I really thought he would shoot up closer to like 60%. If he's out there and available, this is a running back that you guys can pick up off the waiver wires and plug in. And he's getting the Baltimore Ravens, who we touched on earlier. This is the team allowing the most fantasy points to opposing running backs. They have a ton of injuries, and across the board, this defense is playing very, very poor. They rank bottom 10 against every single position in terms of fantasy points allowed so far on the season. So I know the Texans offense, like they're on the road here. CJ Stroud hasn't exactly been lighting it up here early in the season or anything. This offense, really outside of Nico Collins and a few games from the running back position, just hasn't been good for fantasy this year, but I would not worry about it here in week 5 against the Ravens whatsoever. This is a great spot for the Texans offense as a whole, and this is a really good spot for Woody Marks, who could get ready to absolutely start taking all the volume in this backfield. I would definitely consider Woody Marks as a very strong RB2, a great flex option this week. He had 27.9 fantasy points in week 4. Gets a better matchup here in week 5. I think he could absolutely come close to over 20 fantasy points and go nuclear for your guys' starting lineups. And there you guys have it. There are my 5 players set to go absolutely nuclear here in week 5 of the fantasy season. Whatever you do, do not bench those players. But if you guys do have fantasy football questions, go ahead and hit the comment section down below. I will answer as many fantasy football questions in the comments down below as the week progresses as I possibly can. So make sure if you guys need anything, drop a comment. And while you're down there, it does me a huge favor if you guys hit that subscribe button and that like button on the way out. Really does help out the channel. And when the videos and playlists pop up on the screen, make sure you guys go check out all of our week 5 fantasy content. We'll have everything you could possibly need here on the channel to dominate week 5 of the fantasy season. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and remember, you saw it here on The Catch.